What's going on, guys? Bengal again here, coming back at you with another episode, highly anticipated as always, but this one was very important as we are just a few weeks off of winning the Super Bowl. For the first time in Lions franchise history, not only did the team make a Super Bowl, but won it. A big victory, and let's be honest, it's been coming for a while. You know, we had this big build-up, and we just weren't that good for a while. And then last season, it kind of everything came together, but we were just short of going all the way. This season, we started just destroying teams. Unbelievable offense. Defense played fairly well as well, obviously. Top 10. And we really shut down the run game, despite a so-so pass defense. And things were just really good overall. Won the Super Bowl, but now, the moment that everyone's been waiting for, the offseason. Now, what I will say is in order to get the big offseason experience for you guys, it, really revolves a lot around getting the footage of the players, right? And unfortunately, in order for that to happen, I have to see the scout players thing come up, and it's not in the re-sign period. So what I did off camera was sign some extensions, and we can look at those in league transactions. I've also moved some players around. So, edited some of these guys, and you can see their positions have been changed. So, I guess I'll show this in the actual team screen, because I have a new strategy. I think we've been really good at stopping the run, and our pass defense has been not so great, and I think a lot of that has been because the linebackers just aren't that great in coverage. So what did I do? I moved a cover guy, BJ Dickerson, who's built pretty stout, by the way, 5'11", 224, and I've decided to make him, at least for right now, an outside linebacker. So he's going to have the big-time speed. He's going to have amazing coverage. The block shedding really isn't too bad. It's not great, obviously, but if we want to prioritize speed and cover ability when we know we have the guys up front. So BJ Dickerson was moved to outside linebacker, and Russ Clemens moved down to right end. Of course, Deron Payne stays at defensive tackle. Dorian Tompkins now to defensive tackle, even though he kind of played that role anyway. And then that leaves Deshaun Hand at left end, which I don't love. However, that's just the way things kind of shaped up. Let me show you the players who were re-signed. I think the easiest way to do that would be in league transactions. Yes, here they are. So Derek Barnes is back on a 4-year, $12.8 million deal. Assad Riley was signed to a massive extension because undrafted rookie free agent. So he was on a 1-year deal. No rookie 4-year contract because he wasn't an actually drafted player. 5 years, 18 mil. Love his potential, even as his receiver 4 or 5. I think that's fine. He can work his way up. Amon-Ra St. Brown also signed a big deal. 5 years, 19 mil. And we have a lot of money, by the way. Aleem McNeil, good goal line. Defensive tackle, 5 years, 33. J.C. Treader back on a 1-year, $10 million deal. Penei Sewell, massive contract. 5 years, over $77 million, and Charles Leno retired. A couple big retirees as well around the league, but none really impacted our team too much. Aaron Donald retired after 11 years. Khalil Mack is gone now. Yeah, we're getting a little bit deeper into the franchise for sure here in 2024. 2025 draft is coming up, and let's go ahead and look at some of those prospects. So we showed a little bit of this during the season, but as you can see, there are a number of first-round quarterbacks, 4, and a few of them actually have that first-round grade. If you're wondering, how did you get old scouting? Because I've never answered this before. Oh, that's a complete lie, but how did I get old scouting? I started this franchise at the beginning of the year, before the update, well before the update, obviously. Running back, a couple of first-round guys, but there could be all right depth in here as you go down. Wide receiver, a bunch of talent. A bunch of talent here. So we are kind of in an interesting position in the draft where we obviously have a pretty good team, but, you know, I haven't completely decided what players I'm singling in on because I don't really love the edge rushers. I think there are some decent ones, but I'm not sure if any of them would really be worth a top pick, especially in my defense, because I'd be playing left end, and I don't really love a lot of the options. The best player in the draft might be Glenn Williams. He's a corner. We don't really need corner, so not really considering Glenn Williams. He's at the very top of the board. Not going to trade up to get him, but has a lot of things you look for. 6'2", great height, 4.38 speed, amazing top skills. But I know you guys love safeties, and honestly, we probably don't have enough safeties. Roman Boley, someone I'm really interested in. 22 years old, and probably the best safety prospect I've ever seen in the draft. A-zone, A- hit power, B+ pursuit. He's got 4.41 speed. Incredibly agile, incredibly quick, and very strong as well. And the top skills are amazing. So if I want to take the best player available, Roman Boley does kind of stand out to me. A couple interesting players as well later down the board. And I know what you're thinking. Bengal, another safety? Just to make you mad. I'd do it. And maybe I will. Maybe I will. Because when you look at the defense now, you know, Braxton Turner's in here. B.J. Dickerson moved down at the linebacker. And then so our options would be starting J.D. Keltner or Richard Russell or Brian Davis at safety. And also, we kind of need a left end, but I don't really love the options. There also is the issue of all of you whining about Alex Soto for several years now. 26-year-old quarterback, going into his 4th season, would be his last year under contract. So pretty much it's now or never on trading him, or we could do it in the next season. But I think we are going to look to move Alex Soto in this offseason, much to the joy of thousands watching live on Twitch right now, twitch.tv/Bengal. I like him, but the reality is that I don't even think quarterbacks can get injured in Madden 22. So with him never, ever, ever, ever playing, it doesn't really make sense to keep him at this point. Now that Paul Garrison is very clearly established. So that begs the question, what do we actually do with Alex Soto? What do we do with him? Because he was almost the starter. He competed for it in Season 1. And Paul Garrison was just awarded the job. Did have the higher development trait as well. Was always more mobile. And, I mean, it's clearly well-deserved. So, what do we do with Alex Soto? I think we potentially look to trade him, obviously, and we'll look for the right spot. Here's free agency. We don't really have a ton of needs, except for we could use an upgrade on the offensive line. We have plenty of money. Money is not a problem at all. Jalen Waddle's in here. It's cool, but we don't need a receiver. Now, the most interesting one to me, I would say, is Zach Martin. He's just an immediate upgrade. But what's the contract situation of Jonah Jackson looking like? Paul Garrison, of course, going into a contract year as well. Jonah Jackson has 3 years remaining. We just signed him last year. Now, it would be a big upgrade. What about the idea of moving Jonah Jackson to center? J.C. Tretter's 34. We just signed him. He was an off-season 1-year extension. I like Jamie Allridge, of course. He's fine. Ragnow could move to center, by the way. Back to center. That's his main position. And we could keep Jonah Jackson and have Zach Martin. So, either way, given our financial situation, I think it makes sense to offer Zach Martin maybe a 2-year contract. If we want to try and double up and win the Super Bowl again, obviously bringing in one of the best offensive linemen in football, probably not going to hurt our case there. So I'm going to offer him a pretty big deal. And I really would like to sign him. And the money is not really a factor because we already have a ton of money. This is going to be a pretty short deal. It's just immediate upgrade right now to try and win the Super Bowl again. That's kind of the thing. So we're going to try and repeat. And I think that Zach Martin gives us a pretty good chance to do that. The reason I wouldn't even consider a guy like Kenny Clark is because we have our 2 defensive tackles just down already. There's no point to get another defensive tackle with Deron Payne and Dorian Tompkins. There's no need. But Zach Martin has signed with the Lions. Huge signing, obviously. And I think Frank Ragnow is going to move back to center. And maybe Jonah Jackson to left guard. And our offensive line becomes a little bit more balanced with this decision. Frank Ragnow was a great, left guard for a season or so. But with J.C. Tretter getting older, I think it makes sense to try and plan for the future. And Jonah Jackson can be a good, solid left guard. And also, how many times did we deal with injury, right? It's important to have depth on the offensive line. So, we saw George Guerrero play quite a bit because Tretter was always injured. Darren Fox is a backup. George Guerrero is actually developing pretty nicely. Still fairly young. More of a run blocker than a pass blocker. But this makes our offensive line significantly better as a unit. And it's hard not to like where we're going with this. We could also use a CB4 because we don't have a lot of depth. We have 3 really good corners, and then we don't really have a good option beyond that. Desmond King feels like probably the best bet here. Kind of like everything he's about. Just a solid, well-rounded player that especially can come in the nickel and be pretty solid. Yeah, he is certainly the best option. No one's really going after him. So a 2-year deal for Desmond King I think makes a lot of sense to me. And we will offer him. And I'm probably not going to hand out too many contracts. I'm comfortable with where the team is. Let's go ahead and try and finish a little bit of scouting here. Maybe finish left ends a bit. I mean, it's not going to be great down the board, but these guys are decent value picks for sure. Bunch of 3rd-round guys. Zach Butler, even a 2nd-round guy available near the 7th. Not bad at all. D-tackle, not particularly interested in. Looking at left outside linebacker could be important. And maybe finishing up middle linebacker. I think that's probably what we'll do with the next ones. Let's go ahead and advance week to free agency 3. And we got Desmond King as well. So the defense is really, really coming together. I'm testing out the idea of moving to a 4-3 just to get more speed up front. And I already know how good the defensive line is. And I'm comfortable with where we are for sure. We looked at right outside linebacker. We have a lot. Let's look at left outside linebacker. Some B pluses. Ooh, nope. Kendrick Reddick. Round 1 talent, athlete. That looks like pretty good value. Kendrick Reddick might be a guy to keep your eye on. And also, he fits the Dick meta. BJ Dickerson. Kendrick Reddick. They're joke possibilities. They aren't funny ones, but you guys like them. That's all I care about. Ooh, Isaac Duval, A- tackle. That's interesting. That's interesting for a pretty good athlete. I thought we had scouting here. Maybe not. Free agent offers. Let's see. League signings. Joe Mixon to Tampa. Kenny Clark to the Bucks as well. Michael Thomas going out west to the Rams. Stephon Gilmore back to the Patriots. Although he was probably never even traded in this world. Keenan Allen to the Falcons. J.J. Watt to the Niners. The Jags got Jalen Waddle. Tucker back to Texas. Goes to the Texans. Fletcher Cox, Seahawks. Nobody within our division so far. Sheriff also to Seattle. Byron Jones to the Colts. Same with Travis Etienne. The Vikings getting Chandler Jones. Now, he is older at this point, but that is a superstar X-Factor pass rusher we have to worry about now. Niners getting Garrett Bowles. Falcons pretty active in this free agency. Colts pretty active. Texans got Mike Williams. Very interesting free agency. I swear we had scouting up to this point, but I suppose not. So I'm kind of in the dark about some of those linebackers, but let's go ahead and start the draft. Broncos on the clock at number 1. This is what the draft board looks like currently. Glenn Williams is supposedly the best player in the class. Number 1 overall, and the attributes match. There are some pretty good quarterbacks in this class as well. Now, if you remember, we traded our first-round pick. We had a swap of sorts last year, and it paid off big time. Our bet that we were going to be doing very, very well paid off huge, because now we have the number 9 overall pick in the draft, as opposed to the number 32 overall pick, which obviously would be a whole heck of a lot lower than where we are currently. That pick is courtesy of the Miami Dolphins, and I believe it was a swap, and they have our pick, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So we also have some draft capital if we were looking to make a move, and I think it's time to explore some options regarding quarterback Alex Soto. Yes, he's been a backup for a number of years now, but the hype was there. He's shown some ability. He's young enough that a team might take a shot on a player like this to be their potential franchise quarterback. And since the Panthers are sitting here with Sam Darnold, I think they could do a little bit better than him. And the player we would be looking to acquire in this trade would be Brian Burns. 99 overall. Very, very, very good pass rusher. And of course, they are in need of a quarterback. Let's see how close we are with this. About middle of the way. About middle of the way there. Where are we with the capital to actually make a move here? Mac Wilson would have essentially no value. Eric Hudson's here. Kind of expected him to take a jump up, and he really didn't do it. This past year, I still like him. He's still young. I'm not sure I'd be super interested in trading him. And of course, we have 4 good corners now. We do have some potential safeties to trade if they're interested. And they have green interest in J.D. Keltner. Still not enough to get it done. What about adding a pick? 3rd isn't enough. 2nd's not going to be enough. I'm not even sure that a future 1st would be enough. And it's not. What about, would they have any interest in Deshaun Hand? Not really. So I'm not sure if Brian Burns is a player that we would be able to acquire unless we were to add number 9 in the draft. Which, man, I really don't want to do that. What if we did something like this? The interest still might not be there. Oh, it's so close. It's so close. Does Richard Russell take us over the top? Doesn't have star dev. You know what we could do, though? Is we could get a little bit creative. And we could make this like a multi-move type setup. If we were to, say, trade Deshaun Hand, who no longer would have a role on the team, if we're to make this trade happen. Do have a lot of depth at receiver, but with injuries and stuff, I'm not really comfortable trading any of those. Deshaun Hand, not to Carolina. Let's move him to defensive tackle and see what his value is there. So at this point, Deshaun Hand goes up to... Oh. Well, there's a lot of morale going on, but he's listed as an 85. And I think that's going to increase his interest. Not with Carolina, though. What about a team... I don't want it to be the Broncos, because they have the #1 overall pick, and I don't think... I mean, maybe. Maybe we could get something rocking there. All right, well, okay. That is a massive trade. Deshaun Hand and #9 to move all the way up to #1. I really didn't expect that to get accepted, but it did. What can you say about Madden other than what you're looking at? And Deshaun Hand is gone. We now have the #1 overall pick. Hold on. I'm not sure I'm quite done yet. It's going into season 5 of the franchise. I guess we're just going to get crazy at this point. Hold on. What can I trade? Are the Jets looking to move up? They're not. They don't know that they are. What about J.C. Treader? I know I talked about having him as depth, which I think is important. What about taking out the first? Very close. Let me send them Richard Russell instead. And sign Derek Barnes. I like Jermaine Bryan. I think I'm going to add a draft pick. I think it'll be a future 5. All right, so another big trade. This one, I mean, we're trading a player that's played a pretty big role for us, but obviously the defense has shifted around quite a lot, and I'm not really sure what his value would be going forward. We are trading the #1 overall pick, Dick Russell. Sorry about trading Richard Russell, man. Just is what it is. A 5th round pick next year for #4 and #36. I like that quite a bit. And let's go back. Let's get Carolina on the phone and see if the Panthers are willing to do business now. So a first, Brian Burns for our #4, Alex Soto. And is this accepted? Still no, but it's very, very close. What about a #4? 2026 4th rounder gets it done. So the Panthers move up from 27 to 4. Brian Burns for Alex Soto and a 4th round pick. Brian Burns is the newest Detroit Lion, and the Panthers have landed their franchise quarterback. Alex Soto headed to Carolina, new highest overall. It's only 26 years old. Has some very, very, very good accuracy, obviously. And the Panthers value that franchise quarterback over a dynamic defensive player, but clearly it wasn't going to be Sam Darnold. And Brian Burns is the new joint highest overall player on the team. 27 years old, obviously very, very talented. Great speed, finesse moves insane. Block shedding not so great, but I think now this probably becomes the best pass rush duo in the league. Brian Burns, Russ Clemens. Big fan of that. Big fan of that. And what do we want to upgrade here? His block shed isn't that high, but I would like his power moves in the 80s. We're going to do run stopper for now. Block shedding goes up 2. Strength goes up 1. It's not bad. Getting a bit of a boost right now anyways. And I think that's a pretty unbelievable move to get, hopefully, a game-changing difference maker on that side of the ball. Because we just didn't have the pass rush that I expected this past year. I really expected Eric Hudson to take a huge jump up, and he just didn't take that jump, didn't take that step up. So it's just a little bit unfortunate with how things worked out. You know, we tried to develop him, but, you know, unfortunately in the NFL, you get your chance, and if you don't really take advantage of that chance, you can get passed up on, and that's exactly what happened. And our defensive line is looking frightening. Looks very, very good. So, where does that leave us now? We don't necessarily have a hole at safety, because B.J. Dickerson could move back to safety, and we'd have no problem there. J.D. Keltner in the starting role for now. We still have Brian Davis. We could go linebacker, but the whole idea is getting a ton of speed and coverage ability at linebacker to help limit, you know, how much we're killed in the intermediate passing area. So, I haven't decided. Haven't decided yet, and I don't think that I have to. We now pick at number 27 overall, and I really would like to move up. I know people hate safeties for some reason, but man, this one looks amazing. 4.41 speed, obviously very elite for a safety. A zone, A- hit power, obviously amazing, but we're not really in position to draft him. There are some good linebackers, especially down the board. Isaac Duval, I wish I knew a little bit more about. 6'2", 237 out of Miami. Good speed. Seems to be quite quick. Good tackling ability. But I'm not sure. We don't really have a ton of capital to move up. It would have to be trading a player with the pick. Jets at number 1 overall. Take Glenn Williams, presumed to be the best player in the class. Glenn Williams is pretty good. Cornerback out of Louisville. Great size, great ball skills, and is pretty good overall at 78. Jets got themselves a pretty good one. If you're taking a corner at number 1 overall, he better be good. And I think they got a decent one. Now, it's very rare. I can't even recall. I don't even think a corner has ever gone number 1 overall. But they are incredibly valuable. Maybe they're trying to get that Revis Island 2.0. Or at least some type of replacement. But that is the pick at number 1 overall. We've seen a couple of good cornerback classes in a row. Glenn Williams is the next one in that line. Bears at number 2. Will they take another quarterback? They don't. They go with a defensive tackle. Travis Muldrow out of Michigan. Not a bad player. Not a bad player. 78 overall as well. Obviously has some knack for getting after the quarterback. Great pass rushing ability. But also is stout in the run game as well. I mean, you talk about a 78 overall guy. He's going to be an impact player. That's a guy right away that in his rookie season, with playing time, you know, he's probably going to get up into the low to mid 80s. So definitely a very, very good pick for Chicago as they look to bolster that defensive line. Khalil Mack retires. They're like, all right, we're not going to replace him. Let's try to do the next best thing and take maybe the best defensive tackle in the entire draft. Rams at number 3. Take the first quarterback. It's Paul Keenan out of Notre Dame. You know what they say about Notre Dame quarterbacks? For some reason, they just don't develop. But will Paul Keenan break that trend and be maybe the second great Notre Dame quarterback behind Joe Montana in NFL history? Of course, at the start of this Lions franchise, before season 1, the Rams made a big move to go out and trade for Matthew Stafford from this Lions team. But quarterbacks get old, man. Can't be amazing forever. Can't have that killer arm strength forever. And Paul Keenan will be the Rams' next quarterback at some point. Not a bad pick. 75 overall really isn't bad. And here's Carolina via Detroit, via the Jets. A lot of trading going on at a number 4 overall. They take another quarterback. Jesus. Guess they're not convinced with Alex Soto. It's Andrew Harrell out of Washington. Jesus Christ. Andrew Harrell, pretty big arm out of UW. And man, you know what they say, can never have too many quarterbacks. Yeah, hashtag free Soto. Andrew Harrell is going to earn the starting job. Alex Soto will never be a starter. No, Soto will start for Carolina, but you know what? Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Here's how you rationalize this for Carolina. Alex Soto is in the final year of his deal. So by this time next year, Alex Soto could be on a new team. That definitely could happen. Raiders at number 5. Go with Harvey Wilson. Nice. Alex Leatherwood. I mean, Harvey Wilson. Harvey Wilson is a 69 overall. Nice. Nice. 69 overall. That can't be bad, right? Out of LSU. Pretty good, but not great. You know, at number 5 overall, you probably want to do a little bit better than a whatever right guard that might not even start. So, not the best pick for the Raiders there. And then the Titans at number 6. Go with Pat Barrow. Not bad. Really talented pass rusher out of San Diego State. That's evident from his overall, obviously, at 75. He can play a little bit. And we've seen some decent San Diego State players in the draft over the past couple years. And Pat Barrow might be the next one. I think we've seen, I mean, obviously in real life, Rashad Penny went fairly high, but there was a receiver that was nearly a first-round pick, I want to say last year, in Detroit Lions franchise. And Pat Barrow is not bad. 75 overall is certainly a very, very talented player. And now the Vikings are up at number 7. This is where we would consider a trade-up. Roman Boley remains on the board. Probably one of the best safeties I've ever seen in the draft. And I think we're going to go out and try to make a move for him. So we're going to call up Minnesota. Our division rival. Wow. I'm not sure that we can. Looks like the Vikings will not entertain our phone calls. And take the pick at number 7. And they take Zach Carter. A defensive end out of West Virginia. Zach Carter's decent as well. You know, a lot of these edge players were pretty close. And, of course, that's evident from the overall there. Jesus. But Zach Carter can get it done. And, of course, this is a player that we could see, you know, a lot in the future. Flying off the edge. They just brought in Chandler Jones. And now they pick up another edge rusher. This one probably someone that they really plan around, you know, building around in Zach Carter. And thankfully, Minnesota didn't take the player we were interested in. They thought maybe we wanted to take Zach Carter. They wouldn't even consider a trade down. And we're gonna get the Falcons on the phone and see what they want to do. 8th pick in the draft. We have number 27. A couple of good second rounders as well. I mean, last pick in the second round probably isn't super valuable. And we could look to make a move. Jonah Jackson. Injured all the time, but is good when he's on the field. Now, we would move J.C. Treader over to left guard, maybe, or Frank Ragnow back to left guard. These guys haven't really made these transitions yet because we haven't seen anyone play. We have Darren Fox, who's pretty good. Obviously, don't want to be starting Cameron Clark, but Darren Fox wouldn't be the worst. And obviously, J.C. Tretter's not a terrible backup. 25 years old, could look to develop him. They have green interest in Darren Fox, though. Let's see if this trade gets done. Trade declined. Does the interest go up with Jonah Jackson? It doesn't really. Would I rather have Darren Fox or Jonah Jackson? I think he's going to continue to get better. I really don't want to trade either of these guys if possible. And maybe we'll just add another pick. It's going to have to be higher than that. Second round pick doesn't get it done. What about adding a third? We don't really have any... I don't really feel comfortable trading a lot of our picks next year. We don't really have a lot in the way of picks, is the problem. Obviously don't have a quarterback. Not trading a right tackle, clearly. I don't really think the interest in Mac Wilson would be there. Do they have any interest in Eric Hudson? They do. But not a lot. What about adding Darren Fox? Still declined. It's going to have to be a pick. It's going to have to be a pick if we're going to get it done. Eric Hudson, I want that third is the problem. It's just not going to happen. Man, this is getting frustrating. It is a long way to move up. What about 2 1s? That trade's accepted. That's a lot of value. That's a lot of value. Number 27. Projected number 27 next year, although we hope obviously it's number 32. And Eric Hudson on the move as well. Now, the thing with Hudson, obviously we talked about how his value kind of went down a lot. Because, I mean, we have B.J. Dickerson at linebacker now. We have Tyrone Wilbur. We have Braxton Turner. Where does he play? We're developing Jermaine Bryan as a true pass rusher. Mac Wilson's a backup. Derek Barnes, we signed to a long-term extension. We have Brian Burns now. I just don't see where he gets on the field. I don't really see where he plays. Now, it is a decent bit of value, but if we're as good as we think we're going to be, the picks really don't matter a ton. I am going to take Roman Boley here. Free safety out of Clemson. One of the best I've seen. And yeah, I think he's going to be a great fit for the team. Obviously, it's easy to go, oh, 2 firsts. It's at the end of the first round this year, and it's probably going to be number 32 next year if we win the Super Bowl. So, it's not 2 firsts like, oh, it's a top 10 pick. We should be very good. And Roman Boley, could it be the next Roman soldier? Flashback to Giants franchise. Welcome Roman Boley to the Lions. He is an 83 overall. The number 1 player in the draft, and quite an addition to this Lions secondary. Is it still an L, chat? Is it still an L? Ball hawking ability at Clemson. Amazing closing speed. And oh my goodness, what a pick. He has pretty much everything you'd want from the safety position. And a really, really good fit with this Lions team. Welcome, Roman Boley. He just gets to everything. Incredibly fast. And incredibly talented. Now, where does Roman Boley play right away? Well, he's already better than J.D. Keltner. He's already better than Brian Davis. And he has 95 speed. 86 zone coverage coming out of the draft. Pretty solid tackling. Great acceleration. Great hit power in pursuit. Play rec and awareness are not too bad. And this is the best safety I have ever seen in the draft. Roman Boley was worth it and more. Welcome to Detroit. Woo-hoo. What a pick. Can you imagine if the Vikings took him at number 7? Can you imagine? Broncos at number 9. Originally picking at number 1. They moved down. They got Deshaun Hand. And at number 9, they take James Bingham out of UW. James Bingham, not particularly awful. Not the worst in the world. He's not probably the best pick in the world here inside the top 10. But we're seeing defensive tackles fly off the board, and they're really trying to beef up that D-line. Trade for Deshaun Hand, and then go out and draft a defensive tackle at number 9. That is an interesting move there by Denver, but that's why they're in the Super Bowl every year, right? Oh, they haven't made the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl, you say, in 2015? Huh. Wonder why. Like it matters with the in-game stuff with Madden. Washington football team at 10 takes a corner. It's Greg Patton out of Nebraska. Also a decent player. Not the best in the world, but can be an impact starter in the future at some point out of Nebraska. Greg Patton, great ability there, great positioning. We know Graham Mertz is an elite quarterback, and he just never saw him. Blending into the eye in Wisconsin, Greg Patton is like a super spy. And that is your top 10. Looking like Tim Washington out there if you watch Riverside Dynasty. And the Steelers are on the clock at number 11. I have to go to the bathroom, but this is what the draft board looks like currently. So I will have you guys think about who you might like us to select. We pick again at number 36. So it's not too far away. And there are some good players here. There are some really talented guys. I wanted to hold on to these picks for a reason. And it was not for no reason. So keep that in mind. When we trade a player, it's not because I don't have a plan. Like when Eric Hudson is traded away, it's not, oh, what are we going to do now for a backup outside linebacker? There's always a plan in place. Steelers at number 11. Take Connor Adkins out of Louisville, trying to finally beef up that offensive line. But I wonder if they even retained Najee Harris up to this point. Because he would have been a free agent. I didn't see him in free agency. Najee Harris is still here and very good, by the way. 93 overall. Yeah, he looks like a beast. He looks like a very good power back. Giants at 12. Take Andrew Harrell. Trying to finally beef up that offensive line. I feel like we could say the exact same thing about this pick as we did the last pick. And, you know, what can you say about this pick? It's fine. It's not amazing. It isn't ideal. But they got a decent player. Why can I not find... Oh, there we go. Hey, there they are on the field. Can you believe it? Wow, great blocks. Look at him at right guard. Wow. Andrew Harrell's a beast. Also, is Andrew Harrell the name of the quarterback in the draft? Am I wrong about that? What was the name of the quarterback? He got taken, right? I swear it was something like that. There's a lot of Andrews. Like the Washington receiver in this draft, we haven't seen one go off the board yet, is Andrew Towns. And then Andrew Harrell, the quarterback. Is it Andrew Harrell? It is. They just have the same name? Did the Giants think they were taking the quarterback? Classic Giants. Niners at 13. Go with Heath Spruce, defensive tackle out of Florida. Another not terrible pick. We're seeing a lot of defensive tackles go off the board. It's kind of wild. This has been pretty much the D tackle draft. A lot of offensive and defensive linemen going off the board. It's just the line. We see maybe what, 3 or 4 D tackles, and then at least 2 or 3 offensive linemen, plus an edge guy. Heath Spruce, not awful. Not awful. Ravens at 14. Go with Devontae Drummond. We're kind of seeing a lot of players in the same type of overall range. And we thankfully got the highest overall by a lot so far. Devontae Drummond, right outside linebacker out of BC. Another decent pass rusher. The biggest thing about him is literally how big he is. 6'6", if I recall correctly. Pretty good speed off the edge as well. Nothing insane. But if we know the Ravens, they can develop pass rushers at a pretty elite level. Now, obviously, they've spent some high picks on pass rushers in the past and have done very well. Like, Terrell Suggs was a top 10 pick, or top 11, something real close to that. Obviously, very, very good. But Devontae Drummond, who knows? Cedric Gibson is the first receiver off the board. Can Philly finally hit on a receiver? Jalen Reagor was surely a miss in the first round. Didn't do too well with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the second round. Devontae Smith is surely going to be a monster, but they got to pair him up with somebody. And they're going with Cedric Gibson. Not to be confused with Tashawn Gibson, or Trevis Gibson is the other one I can think of. This is Cedric. Pretty good receiver. You know, this receiver class was completely just full of deep threats. Every single receiver archetype, near the first round was a deep threat. So we know that the Eagles have a type. That's why they took Jalen Reagor. Maybe it'll be a slightly different story with Cedric Gibson. Chargers at 16. Take the first linebacker. It's Mike Rainey. Middle linebacker out of Clemson. Definitely good as well. Kind of like that classic thumper over the middle, but has really decent speed as well. Can do a lot of things right. And the Chargers have such a terrible run-stopping team in general that getting a big Mike linebacker to maybe change things could be a big-time move for them. So, don't mind the Mike Rainey selection. He's a pretty decent overall for a middle linebacker as well. So, not the worst from the Chargers. As the Saints go with an edge rusher out of Oklahoma State, it's Sam Burks. Sam Burks is okay too. He's kind of in this same range of guys that we've been talking about, where it's tough to distinguish a player that went top 10 from a player that's going here at number 17. But Burks can definitely get after the quarterback and stop the run as well. Should be a good fit in their 4-3, especially learning from Cam Jordan. And maybe he'll be everything that they wanted Marcus Davenport to be. And as you can see, he even injures the running back there. So he's going to actually fit real well with the Saints. Browns at 18. Go with a quarterback. The Baker Mayfield era is officially over. Matt Corcoran at a USF Scrambler is headed to Cleveland. Could this be the next quarterback in a very long line of busts? Corcoran to Cleveland. Man, that's an interesting pick. He's not the worst in the world, but let's not mince words here. This is a developmental guy. This is a developmental QB. He is not the type of franchise quarterback, guy that can just play right away and be dominant. This is not that guy. So we'll see what Cleveland can do. They don't really have a knack for developing quarterbacks historically, but maybe this time it'll be different. Texans at 19. Pretty good season. And they take Eddie Shepard out of Auburn. Wow. Expected him to be a little bit higher of an overall here. But he's not bad. I mean, of course, the trend with these modern-day linebackers is they're crazy fast. They fill gaps, shoot lanes very, very quickly. And, I hate to say that, the Texans look like they're drafting kind of another bust here. But 70 overall for a middle linebacker really isn't the worst. I think the highest I've ever seen is like a 78, 79. And usually you'll see some good ones in that 73 range. But it's tough to get really, really good inside linebackers. Eddie Shepard could be a good developmental player. And the Bills go Kevin Trejo, quarterback out of Michigan. I guess they have questions about Josh Allen long-term now that he's only 29. And they're taking their next quarterback in Michigan's Kevin Trejo. Now, this guy was a scrambling monster at Michigan, but that's what Josh Allen can do. So you have to wonder why Buffalo would take a QB here in the first round. Did they think they can move him to tight end? Maybe to receiver? This guy's clearly very, very good with the football in his hands. I think probably leaves a little bit to be desired as a passer. But you know what? That was kind of describing Josh Allen when he came out of Wyoming. So, Kevin Trejo to Buffalo. Little bit of a head scratcher. And Quan McDowell is the Chandler Jones replacement for the Arizona Cardinals. McDowell's another pretty big dude and certainly offers you a lot as a pass rusher off the edge. And yeah, losing Chandler Jones to the Vikings, pretty big loss. Will Quan McDowell be able to fill those massive shoes? That's going to be the big question with him. And there's certainly a lot to like with him. So really don't hate it all that much. Bengals at 22. Take the second highest overall corner in the draft we've seen so far in Joe Kendricks out of the U. Joe Kendricks, another great speed guy. And that's obviously the trend with cornerbacks. If they're going to go high in the draft, they're usually pretty fast. I think Jeff Okuda has been the more recent exception to that, of a cornerback going pretty high. But, I mean, Kendricks here at 22. Certainly a pretty good value for a 74 overall corner. And the Bengals certainly could use an upgrade at corner. Seattle. Wow. It's a really solid pick. Usually they don't do particularly well in the first round. But Jalen Sermons, he's a big, big, big dude. Listed at left end out of Tennessee. But you might remember the last end they took out of Tennessee, Darrell Taylor. Jalen Sermons is not like Darrell Taylor. Jalen Sermons is massive. 6'6", 318. Jalen Sermons is a big dude. So the Seahawks really aren't drafting a defensive end here. They're drafting, a 3-tech. They're drafting an inside guy. So I wouldn't really think of him as a defensive end. I would think of him as, maybe the next DeForest Buckner type player. So they want to counter, him dominating that Seahawks line when he was with the Niners. Well, now they got Jalen Sermons, who could be a beast. Bucks take Andrew Towns. We saw him making some big plays earlier. And there's Andrew Harrell at quarterback. Yeah, there were just two players in the same draft named Andrew Harrell. But this is Andrew Towns. You had the Andrew combo at UW. Andrew Harrell to Andrew Towns. Towns is fun. I mean, I told you this draft was filled with deep threats at wide receiver. And, Andrew Towns can certainly fly. Good with the football in his hands as well. Good back shoulder ball from Harrell, which is just underthrown, but we can call it a good back shoulder ball. And Towns just has a nose for the end zone. Uses the speed and elusiveness to just find 6 points as often as possible. Colts, at number 25, go with the Anthony Costanza replacement. Take Ryan Rezzo out of Oklahoma. Rezzo's pretty good. 70 overall for a tackle really isn't too bad either. And yeah, it's probably not someone that can come in and start right away and be a really good player. But as you can see, good run blocker, stout pass blocker. He's just not going to get, he's not going to let anybody get to the quarterback. So, of course, you got some development. You got some stuff to work on with him. But really isn't too bad of a player. Jags, wow. Take an 80 overall running back. Kyler McDougald out of Mizzou. So far, the second highest overall player in the entire draft. And, of course, the Jags just can't get enough of their running backs. You have James Robinson, draft Travis Etienne in the first round. You have both of them, draft Kyler McDougald. But as you might remembered from this offseason, Travis Etienne, I believe, signed with the Colts. I want to say Etienne is in Indianapolis now. He is. Darren Pinkins, superstar dev, doesn't play. But the Jags, they do have James Robinson. They don't really have any depth at the position. They really don't. So I really don't mind taking a running back there. I mean, I do because it's a running back in the first. But he's also an 80 overall. He's a really good player. Shifty for Mizzou. Split carries with Tyler Beatty. But McDougald is certainly really good. Good speed. Great elusiveness. If you were going to take a running back in the first round, especially at the back end of the first round, can't go wrong here with Kyler McDougald. Obviously a really, really good player. And good depth for the Jags. You really can't operate a running back room with only one running back. I don't care what the Titans think. So, not the worst thing. Falcons. Oh my goodness. It's back-to-back 80 overall running backs. The running backs were neck and neck. And it seems like you couldn't have gone wrong with either of them. Isaiah Redmond to the Redbirds, the Falcons. And the Falcons did pretty well for moving all around the draft here. The best running back on their roster right now is Benny Snell. Benny Snell is not the best. Benny Snell is currently a 79 overall. And behind them, you guys might remember Zaire Carrington. Remember the running back out of USC? In year one. In the year one draft, the Paul Garrison, Alex Soto draft was USC running back Zaire Carrington. Well, they didn't want USC from Southern California. They go with USC and take the South Carolina Isaiah Redmond. But here's Zaire Carrington, only normal dev. He's okay, not great. And they get instantly the new best running back on the team, Isaiah Redmond, out of South Carolina to the Falcons. Packers at 28. Go Emmanuel Malone out of Clemson, 73 overall. Malone, not too bad. Another pass rusher here, as I'm sure will not surprise you, with the Packers taking an outside linebacker. He does not play off ball. He plays on the ball. He is a pass rusher. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't have the ability to play off ball. You can see him there defending the screen. But you're probably going to want him firing off the edge to be most effective. Decent movement skills in space, but make no mistake, that is a pass rusher. Patriots at 29. Take a receiver. They like Brandon Merriweather so much, they took Sidney Merriweather. And it's not great. It's not terrible, but it does kind of give you N'Keal Harry vibes, which probably isn't ideal if you're drafting a receiver at the back end of the first. Cowboys at 30. Take Rob Harper I mean, we know the Cowboys love their white tight ends. This is just another one in a long line. And this is an interesting player because he got injured. He got injured right on this play. And the Cowboys are taking a shot at him back half of the first round. And we'll have to see if they can develop him in that Kellen Moore offense. Chiefs at 31. Take Cole Cadet. As if the rich couldn't get any richer at that position. Just crazy, versatile, explosive players on offense. Cole Cadet, crazy good speed. He's a small guy, only 5'8", but was a difference maker for this Alabama Crimson Tide team. Cole Cadet going to the Chiefs, teaming up with Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, Travis Kelce, Jerick McKinnon even's been very, very good. Cole Cadet, look at that move. Completely shaking the corner out of his shoes. And Patrick Mahomes gets another weapon. How much help does the guy need? More like Patrick Mafraud. Those are always so creative, nickname. Dolphins at 32. Last pick of the first round is another receiver featured in that game. The Iron Bowl, Auburn, Bama. It's Deontay Wagner. Now, very similar. That's me. That's the stream. That's Deontay Wagner. Just wanted you guys to get the full picture of everything going on here. Pretty good height to him. He's definitely a lot bigger than Cole Cadet, but has that similar game-changing ability at the wide receiver position. Again, not the highest overall in the world, but these guys are going to develop. And that is a decent last pick of the first round. They lost Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle headed to Jacksonville. Got to replace him. And Deontay Wagner, I don't know if he's going to be Jalen Waddle, but he is what the Dolphins are working with. Paul Thierry out of Washington State is up next. Now, we saw his teammate go earlier in Andrew Harrell at right guard. Talk about a pretty good offensive line combo in the league at right guard and right tackle. Or in college, I should say, now in the league. They were a big reason why the Washington State offense was so effective. Man, that team they're playing looks familiar. But yeah, Paul Thierry is a big dude and can really, really wreak some havoc, especially against some lesser competition. And the Broncos trying to replace Jawan James. Go with Paul Thierry at right tackle. And it's another right tackle. Juan Gallery is the pick. Now, we saw in this game a left tackle from Oklahoma dominate the Texas D-line. Well, hop over to the other side. It's Juan Gallery dominating the Oklahoma defensive line from that right tackle spot. Another big dude. And the Bears have done pretty well. I know they're in our division. We don't want them to do well. But I think they've taken some decent players. Let's just see what the draft board is. It's been a while since we've seen. Andrew Mathis is available. It's a decent player. That's a decent player. Let's just get an idea of the board. I like Logan Hackett a lot. I like Logan Hackett a lot at center. Now, Jeremiah Goldsberry, I also like a lot as a backup quarterback, who we'll have to free at some point, I'm sure, if we were to take him. Marco Ford, pretty good value at outside linebacker. I think he's a little bit slow. Justin Acosta, another very, very good-looking center. I don't know. Certainly some really good players. Kendrick Reddick, good speed. Not a whole lot else there. But a developmental player, for sure. Someone you can develop. Probably like a 71 overall, maybe, in that range. Tony Espinoza, if you need more speed at the receiver position, can't go wrong with Tony Espinoza. He is a little small, 5'8", 177, but great speed. You'd hope so, at that size. And there are some decent looking inside linebackers as well. Isaac Duval was someone I had my eye on. Don't really know everything about him, but looks pretty good. So what do you do here if you're the Lions? Do you trade up? I don't think so. I think if anything, we might be looking to move down. Rams at number 3 overall in the second round. Take Andrew Mathis. He is good. He's a 75 overall right end. Well, we knew he was going to be pretty good. And the Rams, I mean, they saw Aaron Donald retire. How do you replace Aaron Donald? You can't. But you can try and beef up the rest of the D-line. And hopefully you won't notice Aaron Donald being gone. I laugh as I say that because, like, it's Aaron Donald, man. It's one of the best defensive players you or I will ever see. So there's no replacing Aaron Donald, but Andrew Mathis is a pretty good defensive end. And here we are in the second round. What does it look like? There's no one that I'm super interested in at this point. Maybe we move down for like a mid-second. Now, it's a slippery slope with that because, like, they often will not want to give you the proper value associated with the pick, in my opinion. So that does make it kind of tough. I think maybe the Eagles pick I like quite a bit. See, I'd like to get a 2 and a 3. That seems about where they should be on that. And maybe I would give them... We don't have a future 1. Maybe I would move up with the 3. And maybe I can get like a 4. Can we do that? No. What about a future 4? Still no. What about just this? Still no. What about a future? Do we have a future 6? All right, this should go through. All right, boom. I like this quite a bit. We're trading back from 36 to 47, but we're moving up from 96 to 79. And based on the current draft board, I think that's going to be a pretty big move. Gives us a lot more flexibility, especially to navigate around the board. So we're dropping about 10 picks down. It's Markel Devine. That's the guy you wanted? Interesting. Derek Newton at FIU, or FAU is next. Florida Atlantic. Raiders having a heck of a draft. There goes Caleb Zimmerman out of Texas A&M. Zimmerman's not bad. They had 2 right outside linebackers that were rated really highly. Zimmerman is the next one. There goes Derek Evans out of Arkansas. Of course, the Vikings in division. We got to be aware of who they're taking. Falcons get Jordan Jackson out of Arizona State. Wow, not a big pick there for the Dolphins. That might be the lowest overall player we've seen in the draft so far. Jimmy Smart, not a smart pick. Washington football team takes Dylan Cartwright, receiver out of Clemson. I feel like there are a lot of other good receivers on the board right now. Oh, I guess they don't know about it. They don't know about Tony Espinoza. Gregory Jenkins is who the Steelers pick here. That's the quarterback they went for? Gregory Jenkins? I got some questions. Josh Harvey out of Oklahoma goes to the Giants. That is the new lowest overall, I believe. The Niners take Logan Hackett, a 75 overall center out of UCF. Hackett was one of the best players the entire draft, it looks like, and is very, very good. Offering good protection for future, I believe, Oklahoma quarterback, Dylan Gabriel. He was going to transfer to UCLA, but DTR decided to stay another year, and I think he's going to go to Oklahoma now. But there's Logan Hackett. Pretty good pass blocking. And the Ravens at number 14 in the second round go with Trevor Camp, a linebacker out of LSU. Not the best pick in the world, but not the worst. As we are on the board here, midway through the second round, where do we want to go? There's Isaac Duval. I like the idea of that. But I'm going to take a backup quarterback. It's going to be Jeremiah Goldsberry out of Florida. He looks pretty good. Not the fastest in the world, but he's got an arm. Looks like Alex Soto, to be honest. Another SEC guy who's a little bit older, who has the arm, A+ throw power, A throw accuracy short and mid. Jeremiah Goldsberry, welcome to the Lions. He is the number 2 overall player in the draft. Star or better development. Man, some familiar feels here. Jeremiah Goldsberry, welcome to Detroit. 92 throw power, 87 deep, 88 medium, 89 short. Good throw on the run, play action. 78 speed really isn't too bad. And we got the number 1 and number 2 overall players in the draft. And yeah, the Steelers probably could have used a player like this. And they went with, I don't even remember his name, but he was terrible. The difference between the last quarterback off the board and this one is, what was he, like a 60, was he a 63, 62 overall? I can't remember, but it's like nearly 20 in that case. It could be, it could have been 68. I don't remember what it was, but it was bad in comparison. Goldsberry, field general type, can kind of do it all, and is the second highest rated player in the entire draft. The Detroit Lions have done it again. Is there a quarterback controversy? This is the Bucs taking Kyle Trask. I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it. What a pick by the Lions here midway through the second. Not bad. Not bad at all. Where else are we? Ford, Acosta, Reddick. We don't pick for a little bit. I don't know. Might want to try moving up or down again. I feel like I just got deja vu. That name looks, or the face looks the exact same. I think it is. There goes Ray Darius Clark out of Toledo. I think the Saints have done fairly well in this draft as well. Ray Darius Clark, you know, maybe they can steal because he's a little bit under the radar. Corner at Toledo. Falls to the second round. But obviously, pretty good ball skills. And the Toledo Rocket goes all the way from northern Ohio to as far south as you can get pretty much in the continental U.S. in New Orleans, Louisiana. Obviously, there are other southernmost tips, like the bottom of Texas is underneath that, and of course Florida, but pretty polar opposite locations there. As there goes Isaac Duval out of Miami. Someone we were certainly looking at, obviously. He's a 75 overall, and he's going to Cleveland. Now, they didn't really hit on the first pick, but I think hitting on Duval is certainly a really good draft pick for Cleveland. Certainly not a bad player there. Pretty good speed, and obviously some big hit power as well. And the Clemson running back, Lynn J. Dixon, figured that out in a hurry. Texans at number 19 in the second round take James York. Back-to-back Miami players off the board. First one a little bit better in this one. Bills take LaMarcus Ware, not DeMarcus Ware, but LaMarcus out of Michigan. Cardinals at 21 in the second take Steve Williams out of Michigan. Not the best. Monty Tucker out of Louisville. Also, certainly not the best. There goes Henry Jenkins out of Kansas. They're the Seahawks and they're drafting. It's a little bit more like it. Now, they usually hit on the mid-round guys. And we don't really have anyone for a little while here. Bucks at 24. I do wish we had Duval, by the way. There goes Dwayne Raymond out of Utah. 70 overall, outside linebacker. Melo Hightower is a 66 overall out of Louisiana Tech. Holy. That is a lot worse than I was thinking. Pretty good athlete. 6'4". And he's a 66 overall. I mean, maybe he was playing at Louisiana Tech for a reason. Not the best there for Indianapolis. Could have done worse, but not by much. Jags. 26th pick of the second round. Take Isaac Andrews. Not a terrible corner out of Texas. Not great, but not terrible. Panthers take Courtney Morrison. Backup running back out of LSU. The difference between the running backs taken at the back end of the first and the back end of the second, night and day. Packers take Zach Wilson. Not the quarterback, but the safety. And he is good. 77 overall here at the back end of the second round. Wow. Not a bad pick for the Packers. And of course, they're in our division. That's a player we might have to see in the future. Not excited to see Zach Wilson develop. Could be a very decent player. Look at them. Auburn's playing Florida. That's Goldsberry at quarterback. That's Zach Wilson at safety. These players played in the same conference in college and now will play in the same division in the NFL. Patriots at 29 here in the second. Go with Darren Tatum out of Tennessee. Not awful. Marco Ford out of Auburn is up next. Man, did Auburn just have killers on defense? I mean, they're not Tyrone Wilbur, but I mean, just good players. Marco Ford, 74 overall. Really good value here at the end of the second round. I mean, we've seen a couple steals in a row now out of Auburn. Goodness. Nice pick there for the Cowboys. Marco Ford. Maybe the brother of Cameron Ford. Virginia Tech standout corner, of course, drafted by the Lions. Well, he's going to the Dallas Cowboys. Chiefs. Second to last pick of the second round is Alex Bradford, a defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Certainly not a bad selection. Good value here at the end of the second. And here we are, looking to make a move. Kendrick Reddick, decent. Well, I'm not exactly sure what he's what I'm looking for. Tony Espinoza is obviously going to be a pretty good player. But we're going to play it safe here and get more depth on our offensive line. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's a center. Oh, it's a center. This is not a typical looking center. Justin Acosta, very strong, very quick, but is also 6'5", 319. This is maybe the biggest center I've ever seen. Justin Acosta, welcome to the Lions. 76 overall, star, better development. The number 8 player in the draft. We took him here at number 64. Can't go wrong with a Notre Dame offensive lineman. Just a solid player. Not bad. Justin Acosta. Does he have the speed to play guard, maybe? 86 strength. Run blocking and pass blocking are already in the 80s. Speed isn't too bad at 72 either. Yeah, and he gets to team up with Notre Dame offensive line legend Zach Martin, one of the newest Detroit Lions. Should be a fun combo. Broncos, first pick of the 3rd round is Orlando Byers. Not to be confused with Andy Byers. They spell their last name differently. Out of Clemson. Bears, division rival, takes Jamar Thomas. Doesn't even have a picture. Out of Clemson. Tough. Marshall Black to the Rams. The Jets take another offensive lineman, Jake Maynard. Evan Leroy, USC quarterback, going to the Raiders. That sounds like Cody Kessler to me. Titans take George Curtis out of Georgia. Vikings, interdivisional rival, take Kendrick Reddick out of Virginia Tech. He was someone we looked at, obviously. I just didn't think he was fast enough to fit my defense. So, Reddick to Minnesota. Falcons take Carl Macklin. Not a bad safety, to be honest. 73 overall out of Oregon. The Dolphins land Luke Ramsey, another pretty decently rated safety. This one out of South Carolina. Washington football team takes a tight end, Jeremy Parsons out of Oak State. Johnny Robertson, Texas A&M middle linebacker. Maybe the best inside linebacker remaining. And I mean, the Steelers are known for that defense, and I think in particular their linebackers. You look, as far back as Jack Ham and Jack Lambert, even more recently to Lamar Woodley. I mean, even Ryan Shazier before injury was trending in a really good direction. Really unfortunate with what happened to him, obviously. But this is their next potential hit on a linebacker. Devin Bush is kind of a little bit hit or miss, it feels like. But maybe Johnny Robertson will be everything they want and more. Giants take Caleb Hayes, receiver to Stanford. Not terrible. Niners get Trent Porter out of UCLA. And the last pick before our pick is the Ravens. And they take Kevin Harris out of Clemson. Back on the clock. Well, what do we want to do here? We could just take best player available and get Tony Espinoza. Not sure that we need more help at receiver. I think we're fine at that position. It is the 3rd round. I mean, a guy like Dakota Peppers looks interesting. A little slow for my taste, to be honest. Don't really need a backup running back. Don't know a ton about some of these players. I don't know if anyone is worth drafting at the end here. Zach Butler is solid for the 7th. And this is our last pick until the 7th. So it's, do we take the known best player available? I don't know. 5'8", 177. He'd be interesting. If you look at our current team, we just don't need a receiver. I mean, I guess we have 5, right? But I want to develop Assad Riley. We certainly don't need a backup tight end. We have 3 tight ends who are very capable. I guess maybe a 6th wide receiver isn't the worst thing in the world. I guess we're just going to take best player available here, which you really can't complain about. Tony Espinoza out of Wisconsin. Could be a big steal. 4.34 speed. Only 5'8". But he is a 75 overall. Number 16 in true talent. Took him at number 79. And we'll see if we can find some type of a role for him. We have Assad Riley. We signed him to a big extension. Really trying to develop him. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Signed him to a big extension. He's just a reliable depth option. And I don't think he's a real practice squad candidate because a team would just steal him. He's too good to be on a practice squad. But I'll say, when you look at him, a real in-depth look at Tony Espinoza, dude's pretty fast. 96 speed, 94 excel, Good short route running. Release is good. Spectacular catch is good. Jumping's pretty good too. Amazing change of direction. Incredible juke. He kind of has return man written all over him. So Tony Espinoza, if any role, could be our new return man. And I think that's where I stand on that. And maybe we'll finish out the third round here. I don't really have any particular interest in drafting a lot of the players at this point. I'm sure there are going to be some solid players, maybe some steals, things like that. But, I mean, Darren Wayne's a good example, 70 overall D tackle. But I don't really know that anyone that we draft at this point is really going to help us a ton. We do have the Mr. Irrelevant pick. And you see some decent players going here, but nothing particularly good. No one particularly special. I think that Tony Espinoza will be the highest overall in the draft for probably the rest of the draft. I mean, again, there are some decent guys. Dakota Peppers, I mean, looks okay. He really does. A little slow, but the block shedding is the most impressive thing to me. He's actually good at defending the run and actually getting after the passer as well. Maybe we'll try and make a move up. I don't really want to trade my future picks. We kind of have so few of them at this point. Don't really have many players to trade. A lot of these guys are obviously instrumental to our success. Like maybe BJ Hill. Maybe JC Tretter is a candidate to go. I would trade JC Tretter for a fourth, I guess. Where's this pick? Very soon. All right. I mean, the Raiders could use a center. At this point, JC Tretter is just like not particularly valuable to me anymore. What can we get for him? Not a fourth and a second. Unless I make a move. What else could we give them? I don't really want to trade any of my receivers. Don't really want to trade anyone. We just don't really have the picks to make a move. Can I get a future third? Please. We're so close to making something happen. Maybe I'll add BJ Hill. And I can get a second. BJ Hill's decent depth, but it's kind of it. Oh, it's so close. Let me get it. I'll throw the 7th in there. And that trade is accepted. A lot of moves this offseason. A lot more trading than I usually do. But JC Tretter doesn't have a role anymore, sadly. BJ Hill didn't play. 7th round pick. And we are trading for a current 4, number 101. And a second next year. Which is obviously very valuable. Because we just don't really have the picks. And that gives us some flexibility at least. And I mean, I like Dakota Peppers. Dakota Peppers or the other outside linebacker. I mean, that's what this comes down to. Where is he? Is he an outside linebacker? He's a right end. So what I prefer, Zach Butler, 6'4", 318. Very different player to Dakota Peppers. 6'5", 240. It's just who do we want? They're both late second round guys. 26 reps is pretty weak for someone that size. we're going to take Dakota Peppers. 70 overall. Took him at number 58. Not a bad backup to have. 81 speed, 91 acceleration, 77 finesse moves. Block shed's not too bad. Strength is pretty good. And of course, ranked number 58. We took him at 101. Pretty big steal. And that'll be the last pick of the draft that I take. Ugh, my voice is going out on me a bit. These off-season streams really just take it out of me. And here is the draft recap. Yeah, we did really well, obviously. The best safety I've ever seen in the draft. He is incredibly talented. A backup quarterback that is incredibly good value at where we took him. Justin Acosta, who might play somewhere right away. Not really sure. And then Tony Espinoza. Again, solid value for the spot. I think we did very, very, very well considering where our picks were. And all 70 plus, including 280 plus. Now, I do think that Duval is going to be insane. Does have hidden dev. He's just going to end up being a superstar dev linebacker. He just is going to be. Oh, he's only star. All right. I was pretty convinced, by the way. I was near positive he was going to be superstar. In which case, why didn't I draft him? It's a good question. Draft recap's bugging. Yeah, I'll change numbers and stuff as soon as the off-season stream ends. Or the video portion. All right, so this is what the draft ended up looking like from an overall perspective. It looked kind of grim for a minute, but there were a lot of 75 plus overall players, including 480 plus. They were kind of spread out all over. I feel like this was a pretty good draft class overall. Definitely not bad. And what is Glenn Williams? Hidden dev. #1 player in the draft, or first pick, I should say. He has Superstar X Factor. Not a bad first pick. Change his number for him. Okay, so that's going to be the off-season video for you guys. For week 1 of the new season, you're going to see new positions, likenesses, things like that. But it's a very different Lions team. No Richard Russell. No Eric Hudson. BJ Dickerson's a linebacker now. Brian Burns is on the team. On offense, we got Zach Martin. And we have some decisions to make. But I'll be doing some of the likeness stuff with the guys on stream. Editing gear, face, number, things like that. But that's going to do it for the video. If you ever want to be a part of these, they're on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Bengal. I stream other games as well. I know a lot of you guys just want me to, stream Madden. I don't really do that over there, so if that's what you want to watch, is me playing Madden, you're not going to see a ton of it on Twitch, but I do play some other things. Halo, FIFA, I got to stream more, and hopefully I can stream more in 2022. So that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. See me high step to the end zone. My life like a game, Nintendo. Playing with the best, let them know. Get off the track, the train's coming through. Yeah. Promise you get in my way, then you best believe I'ma just run over you. Yeah, yeah. I'ma turn taking it back to the house. Defensive joke, I'm laughing so loud. Speed burst good.